matter what.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to 3 Degrees of Love Divination. My name is Alana and I am Love. Welcome and welcome back to my channel. So if you are new here, I am a mental health advocate, a social worker. I am a Heyoka empath. And I love to read tarot, and combining that with therapeutic practices. It's not just something that I want to share as something that I've been doing, that has been working for me, but also share with you the idea of doing that as well, especially knowing that, you know, many of us throughout life suffer trauma to varying degrees. And I feel, collectively speaking, that it's the lack of healing that really keeps us disconnected from one another, from the whole, from, you know, the entire collective. And with the fact that we just had the full moon on the 15th, and as we continue into, you know, wrapping up the rest of the year, we're moving into, actually as of the 19th, Pluto moved into the sign of Aquarius. And as you know, globally speaking, you know, we've all been moving, you know, the world's been shifting and moving into the age of Aquarius. And the more that I research about what that is and what that means for myself as an individual, but also what that means for those around me, that means for society, you know, all of those are things that are important to me to know, and also that I think is something that is important for all of us to know, you know, at the macro level. And if we, and I say we as in the whole, the collective, have any chance of survival and growth, you know, and to see a healthy future for all of humanity, we have to be willing to do the healing work. And so that is, as you know, if you've seen in previous videos, is what I talk about. That is my passion. That is, you know, what fuels me and drives me to achieve more, to learn more, because I want to not only heal myself and, you know, be able to grow and evolve from my experiences throughout life, you know, to date, but also see the growth of everyone else around me. Because at the end of the day, as I always say, we are all love. And so, you know, that's essentially, you know, to me, the makeup of the whole is that we are all love. And I can't express or say that any more than I already do. But I feel like I have to, because the way that I see, humanity operate, from the meso to the macro level, and even on an individual basis when I interact with people, what we've experienced in our life, the traumas, all of that shapes, our thought process. It shapes our behaviors, and ultimately that shapes our world, our society, where we live. And so to me, and especially knowing what the meaning of the age of Aquarius is, it's all about moving from the mindset of I, that mindset of I'm the only one that's important. That idea that my self-worth is more important than anyone else's. To, no, everyone's self-worth is important. That society will not succeed in moving forward in a healthy manner if we don't learn to work and move as a collective. We're only as strong as our weakest link. And so if we choose to stay divided, and we choose to, live in this sort of dog eat dog, quote unquote, world in that manner, I don't see the hope for society. I don't see the hope for humanity. We'll eventually kill ourselves off. And I don't want to see that happen. And I hope you don't want to see that happen. So this is why I do what I do. Anyways, also on that note, as this is a tarot channel, of course, but with a heavy focus on advocacy, mental health, self-care, self-worth, and introspection and reflection. And so the deck that I want to talk about today, or decks rather, is the Grateful Dead. And of course, this is the official tarot deck and guidebook. This is the mass market version of the Grateful Dead, based off of the group from the 60s, 70s. I'm trying to remember, and I can't look it up right now, but I will put it, and listening to the lyrics and the songs and reading the lyrics, it's all about, to me, it's all about that vibe. It's all about, that collective experience, right? We have a heart here. The idea, the signifying of love, and the collective unity of that, and so, but the thing is, I heard about the Grateful Dead long before this mass market edition came out. And I don't know what it was, but at the time, like I said, this wasn't a group that I was really familiar with or anything like that, right? But I came across this deck on someone's channel. I don't remember who. If I find and who originally I saw the deck linked, I will link that in the description box, and make reference to it in editing. But it was the indie version, which is, I can't even, let me see if I can try to, oops, nope, zoom out a little bit. Okay, just so you can see how big this is, right? Anyways, and so this is the indie version, and I remember when I came across it, and like I said, it was like an instantaneous thing. And I guess this is when, too, you know, on my spiritual journey, I was now waking up to, you know, to more of myself, and what, you know, understanding more about, you know, my empathic abilities and things like that. And this deck wasn't even, so I'm in Canada, and this deck wasn't even available to be shipped to Canada. It was only available in the US, and of course it's in, you know, being an indie deck, and somehow I just knew I had to get it, and it wasn't cheap either. And so I've had this deck for quite some time now. This actually is the first time that I've been working with it. When I say now, I mean within this past week, for however long I've been using it. This was the first time that I've actually finally pulled out and worked with this deck. So I've been working with the indie and the mass market version, you know, since I started, and it's living up to everything that and more that I could have possibly hoped for. And just even the idea of the Grateful Dead and the meaning, you know, behind that. And so, now, if you're not familiar with their music, they're a rock band, and I think it's an all-male rock band, and they have several different songs. I'll probably post a few there, and in editing I meant, but to me, it's a deck to work with when dealing with societal issues, dealing with societal issues and how the individual self fits in to the whole, right? That's, to me, that's what I get when I'm working with this deck. And then, of course, even listening to the lyrics and the songs, and what's written in this book. We'll take a look at that shortly. Let me just show you the... So this is the... and this is by... Let's see who the... Elizabeth Jezorski, and illustrated by Erin Cadigan. And like I said, this deck is amazing. So it's a magnetic closure, sort of cloth covered outer box that opens up like this. This is the inside of it, and of course it has the ribbon for the book, and it comes in an additional box, which is embossed talk box, with all these little embellishments and stuff. The box is plain on the inside for the most part. I don't know if this is, I doubt it's still in print. If you can find the indie version, you're most likely gonna have to go on like eBay or something like that, and I don't think it's going to be cheap. So, but never mind that. There's now a mass market version. And we'll take a look and compare the two as well. But before I do that, I do want to take and show you this book, because there is a difference between this book and, of course, the mass market version, which is, much smaller and, more concise. But again, it's the same sort of, it's a, hardcover, cloth-covered book with a ribbon marker, and these are the insides. So now, of course, throughout the major arcana and the minor arcana, there are stories included, as well. I wouldn't necessarily say story exactly, but there's more to than just the basic summary, upright meaning, reverse meaning, that kind of thing. And it's very, the write-up, the summary really gives that societal perspective on things. And which to me is very much along the same lines as I feel like the Between the Worlds Oracle by Monica Judggie that I had talked about in a few videos previously. But okay, so the thing with this deck is that it doesn't follow, so it is RW based, or RWS based, but but each section has been renamed. So we'll go through it. But I want to read a little bit of some of these, because I feel like it's brilliantly written, and it really gives you an understanding that, to me, that tarot is more than just a fortune telling tool. It's a tool that is used for introspection, for growth, for being able to sort through issues, and which is very much along what I like to use tarot for, that introspection and moving away from the typical, fortune telling aspect, but using it more as a way of being able to navigate social situations, even being able to sort out, thoughts and behaviors, and, getting to the bottom and root cause of whatever issue one may be facing. Not to say that this is a replacement. I would never say that engaging with tarot and oracle and stuff like that would be a replacement for actual therapy, or addressing things like addiction, and other, mental health matters that go far beyond than just the norm, right? But is very useful to me when in my opinion, when combined with other forms of healing practices like therapy, like, you know, other medical, professionally guided practices, if you will. Okay. So, okay, so let's, for example, we'll take a look at the suit of roses. So the suit of roses is actually the technically is standing in for the suit of cups. We have the element, which is water, polarity, feminine, yin, negative. We have the planets here listed: Moon, Neptune, Pluto. Speaking of Pluto, moving into the age of Aquarius on November 19th, which was yesterday. Yes. At the time of filming this, would have been yesterday, because I'm filming this on Wednesday, November the 20th. Signs: Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces. Positive associations: love, healing, spirituality, relationship, emotion, feelings, intuition, attunement, empathy, compassion, joy, cleansing, responsiveness, sensitivity, dreams. And then we have the negative associations: enmeshment, depression, irrationality, illusions, fantasies, repression, disconnection, isolation, creative blocks, escapism. And like I said, I found this has definitely been a deck that I've enjoyed working with, you know, in this darker months and seasons, you know, especially after, you know, we've passed through the autumn equinox and, you know, Samhain and Thanksgiving, Canadian Thanksgiving, which was in October, and now we are in the week of the American Thanksgiving. So, you know, to those that are living in the U.S., you know, happy Thanksgiving to you. I hope that you have a safe and fun-filled holiday, if you will. But yeah, you know, so it's and of course it's you know, with Christmas coming up, this is the season for shadow work. It's you know, I talk about the fact that we're in a karmic year, and you know, and what that really means, not only on an individual level, but, you know, but also collectively speaking, right? For the whole. But anyways, so getting back to roses. So here now we have like an actual sort of description now, before we even get to the individual cards in the suit. This is a, you know, an overview, and I'll just read a little bit about it so that you can get to know the deck a little bit more here. Roses replace the cups of the traditional tarot, an invitation to slow down and connect with life. Roses reveal the beauty and sweetness unfolding within every moment. Their infinitely petaled blooms suggest abundance and openness, while their thorns remind us to be mindful and aware of our actions. In the tarot, roses reveal the state of the emotional world. They bring us messages about our own feelings and the feelings of others. Associated with water, roses encourage us to flow and move with life, to take each passing moment as it comes. Roses ask us to purify and open the heart thus removing the resistances and obstacles that prevent love from flowing freely. Then love can heal. Imagine a rose at various stages of its life cycle. It begins as a seed, a tiny vessel of genetic information, much like us as human beings. Pure, self-contained potential. With the proper light, water, and soil, the rose sends out a shoot, cracking its tight shell and pushing through the earth. In the spring, the rose is a seedling, giving and receiving vital information about its surroundings. Its roots grow strong as it secures itself a home within its environment, much like children. As branches and leaves spread, the young rose continues to receive sustenance and information from its surroundings. It grows and becomes strong. Much like us humans, from childhood to adulthood. So, do you see, I hope that you're understanding how I'm relating and how I sort of, right, and how I'm seeing it very relatable in the sense of, you know, when it comes to us as individuals, right, as and how we are the seedlings, a part of a larger whole, right? So, and that's why I always talk about the idea that, you know, about being mindful and, you know, that idea of self-worth and what that means, and respecting, as we respect our own self-worth, we are respecting the self-worth of others at the same time. And learning how we can successfully, positively do that for the betterment of ourselves and each other. So that's why I really like this deck, and I really like working with this deck, because, like I said, you know, all the write-ups, the summaries, and even the you know, the longer summary page that for each of the cards that is written is, you know, is very much in alignment with the work that I've dedicated myself to, you know, community, and oneness, that idea of you know, moving away from the I factor to the we factor, right? And that everything that we do affects the whole. So what we do unto others, we are also doing unto ourselves. That's why we always want to step forth and practice practice moving with this idea of integrity and honesty and love and respect. So, yeah. And even if you listen to the songs that the band created, and of course they have lots of songs, you know, even back in when they were, you know, very much, when a lot of these songs were created, I believe that the 60s and 70s, you know, that was also the sort of the, I guess, the hippie era, where everybody was, you know, yeah, love, we're all love, free love, blah blah blah, you know, and but everybody thought that, you know, or a lot of people thought that those kinds of people were very flighty and airy, but were they really though? Or did they know something more than the average? Very much like, you know, neurodivergence versus neurotypical. Right? So this is the larger book, like I said, and there's the bigger write-up there. Whereas with the smaller deck, the mass market, I should say, this is what the box looks like. And it does have a ribbon, but of course, and I hate this cardboard frame thing. Oh, well, look, that's what but anyways, I'm okay with it. I'll be okay with it. I don't particularly like it. I like it when the cards in the guidebook and everything just fits, you know, the same size and it fits. Anyways, okay. I'm getting over that and Alana, get over yourself. So, yeah, okay. So, but here's the book. So it's a lot smaller, as you can see, even though, of course, this one's more colorful. There's also, and of course, the inner pages are colored as well. But what you have pretty much the same information. The only thing that is missing from here is the that extra long additional summary that that's in the bigger guidebook. That's not in this one. This one just has the upright and reversed meanings. And it does have a little bit of like the intro, but of course everything is a lot, you know, there's less info all around. But the important parts are here. So that's good. And so now these are the decks. And this is the indie, which is linen. And it is a little bit taller than the mass market. They are, of course, different cardstocks. See, so you can see how much the difference is. It's not only wider, but it's taller as well. But yeah, and then this one is more of a sort of matte-ish cardstock. It is definitely thicker, even though it is shorter and slimmer than the indie. It is also much thicker, as you can see. And I wouldn't really say that I have a preference as to which one I enjoy working with more. Well, actually, it's a little bit of a lie. I do enjoy working with the indie version more, just because of, well, of course, the additional write-up in the guidebook, but also the cardstock, right? And even though the indie is taller and wider, and I have small hands, I can still very much shuffle it very, very well with no issues whatsoever. Of course, it is a lot slidier because, you know, of the linen, but yeah. And so of course none of these are in order, because I have been using it. So this is the mass market and how that one shuffles. And yes, it overhands just fine as well. Same here. All right. So seeing that we have two cards that fell out, let's take a look at those. So we have the Two of Roses and the Five of Skulls. Okay. Hopefully you can see these ones, okay? Let's bring it in a little bit further. Okay. All right. Okay, so the Two of Roses. So I pretty much already read the introduction of the roses there. Okay, so the Two of Roses, connection, partnership, balance. Summary: two roses in bloom navigate the emotional waters of healing. A connection has been made. Harmony can be achieved by working together. Keep 2 feet on the ground and don't get swept up in emotion. Be willing to compromise. Give a little, take a little. Give the benefit of the doubt. Seek a healthy balance. And we have the reversed meaning: separation, opposition, disharmony. When reversed, the Two of Roses suggests a lack of compatibility between two polarities, leading to imbalance and dissatisfaction. This may be an inner struggle or a dynamic in a relationship. An imbalance of power in relationship is implied, and the scales are not equal. Balance needs to be restored for there to be peace. Okay. So now this is the write-up that I'm talking about. So human relationships are like living mirrors in which we can see our own reflections. Whether good or bad, each unique relationship reveals something about our own essential nature. Thus, our relationships provide the sacred fire through which unparalleled opportunities for inner growth and transformation can occur. When the Two of Roses appears, it reveals that a new connection is forming. Perhaps you are fresh in love and wondering about its outcome. Is this true love? Is it just an illusion? Indeed, if you are overcome with romantic desire, then there's not much to do except surrender and enjoy the ride. Hey, you couldn't stop it if you tried. Maybe a different kind of partnership is being highlighted, a friendship or professional relationship. Or perhaps this is an opportunity to connect to some new or unexplored aspect of yourself that will lead you closer to inner wholeness. The Two of Roses suggests that the relationships and connections you are making now will be beneficial to your life. However, keep in mind, it is still early in the process and things might not be totally what they seem. So I'm not going to finish reading that because it is very extensive, but you know, just to give you a little bit of an overview, the five of skulls. Okay, let's go to skulls here. Okay, all right, so here we have the suit of skulls, element air, polarity masculine, yang positive, planets Mercury, Venus, Uranus, signs Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius, positive associations, truth, logic, rationality, mentality, language, communication, perspective, intellect, strategies, plans, analysis, beliefs, ideas, thoughts, objectivity, law, justice, judgment, discernment, decision, non-attachment. Negative associations, nervousness, anxiety, ruthlessness, emotional disconnection, sacrifice, victimization, pain, mental chatter, confusion, indecision, worry, regret, insensitivity, conniving, ignorance, coldness. All right, so the five of skulls, conflict, power struggles, pride. So, summary. From the flowering eyes of one central skull, four small skulls radiate, revealing different directions. Avoid power struggles. Keep your temper. Do what is right. Maintain integrity. Do no harm. Balance power with compassion. Focus on your own problems. Stand up to injustice. Check your ego. Watch out for deceit. Reversed, passive aggression, self-sabotage, coercion. If you have pulled the Five of Swords reversed, then it's likely you are struggling to communicate your anger or frustration in healthy ways and are instead using more coercive and insidious ways to express your anger and frustration. What inner program or fear is making it difficult for you to communicate your boundaries and feelings effectively and honestly? This unhelpful pattern is costing you self-respect and is making it harder to get your needs met. So that's why I really like this deck. It is very, like I said, it's got that very introspective, slow down, take the time to really reflect on you know, the matter at hand. And in this case, you know, this is what's going on in our world right now. We are having, collectively speaking, we are having trouble relating to each other effectively in the manner that is respectful, honest, loving, and it's the reason why we're living in such chaos right now, given everything that is going on. You know, it's like societies and many people in society are fighting against. It's like we're butting heads because we have those that are still self-righteous, and then those that are living in that sort of 5D realm of, you know, an understanding of we are all connected. We're all part of a larger whole. And so everything that we do, even on an individual level, affects us all, right? It's that butterflying effect, right? If you see, we have here in the two, we have the red and the blue mixing and smashing, if you will, between each other, right? And even as you can see the colors here, but of course with the snake sort of winding around, and then idea of health, that representation of the staff with the snakes, right? The eyeball that's looking down and seeing all of this happen, right? That, if you remember, and if you've been with me and have been following my videos and previous videos, I've spoken about that idea of, you know, being able to pull yourself back and see society from that top down view angle, and being able to see where, as the individual, we fit into that larger puzzle piece, right? That the larger puzzle. We're the tiny little seedling, the tiny puzzle piece, and we all fit somewhere, right? And it's how we fit. So, and even just the name, the Grateful Dead, the understanding that the Grateful Dead are those, our ancestors, those that have come before us, right? And, you know, and for those of you who are empathic, you know, the connection to that larger spiritual whole is something that we are very connected to and very sensitive to. So, you know, that's why people like me can't be around a lot of people a lot of the time. Most of us live like hermits because we are very sensitive to the feelings and the energies around us. And with society being in the state of chaos that it's in right now, and then adding other factors like being neurodivergent and having mental health concerns, anxiety and depression, which a lot of empaths tend to suffer from because of the sensitivity. You know, and it can be really, really hard and daunting to navigate. And that's why this work is important. That's why healing practices, that's why therapeutic practices are fundamental to the human existence. And we don't put enough emphasis on it. I feel. And even just, you know, in modern day, when I interact with the world, you know, on social media, or, you know, or even in person or whatever, and what I see in the news and things like that, which I try not to watch the news because that is another whole big, anyway, trigger in and of itself. But the emphasis on care, on mental health, is not taken as seriously as it should be. We oftentimes run into people who you know, who have this mentality that, you know, and don't get me wrong, right? Because there has to be a balance and a fine line, right? But when it comes to these things, but that idea of not my circus, not my monkeys. So therefore, it's you and your problem, you deal with it. Yes, granted, on an individual basis, it is the work and the commitment of that individual that they have to put in to better themselves. But that doesn't mean that we can't be supportive of each other and hold space for each other and that understanding and that recognition. Because at the end of the day, we all come from the same place. We all go back to the same place. Well, relatively speaking, right? We all on this plane have our different various journeys that we will live and and play out. But it's that understanding and that mutual understanding and respect for each other that seems to be lost here. And for someone like me, that is hard to navigate. That's hard because I feel for those that are abandoned and are feel alone and consumed by their own hardships and the hardships of society, and how, the societal factors play into their individual stories. He who knows it feels it. And so even to give a perfect example of that, and what I mean when I say that and talk about that is, just a couple of things, that I've observed and that, I guess that came up for me for, this past week. And one of the things was I was a part of a group healing, talking about self-esteem, and things like that. And, what are the things that sort of can affect one's individual self-esteem, right? And especially, of course, it's a women's group, so it's also about the stigma of being a female, living in society, and and what that is like. But even just collectively speaking, for any individual, right? Anyone who's ever been marginalized by society, anyone who's, right? And, and been oppressed. One thing I wanted to say in this moment is that here on my channel, I strive for it to be a safe space to share and heal and, to really talk about things that, like this, in this manner, and being able to share with all of you, and hopefully that is reciprocated as well, even in the comments, about what are things that are helpful, how we can better support ourselves and each other through the healing process. And I pride myself on being and considering myself a safe person that anyone can come and talk to and not feel judged, feel discriminated against, or faulted for who they are. Because I have my own lived experience where that is concerned. And because of that, I never want to be the type of person that would make anyone feel that way. Now, of course, we can't really make anyone do anything, right? We have the free will, and our feelings are our own feelings. But I would never willingly do anything to anyone to make them feel like they didn't have a safe space. We all deserve to feel safe. So that is what, and then so sort of going back to what I was saying in regards to what was, things I observed this week. And, I realized I was triggered this week, in this group that I was talking about, because we had an exercise, a self-reflective exercise to do. And basically, it was about identifying our judge, that part of ourself that holds judgment on self, that views and judges others and situations, right? And a lot of the time, that part of ourselves is usually shaped in childhood, right? We talk about the idea of the childhood experience and childhood trauma, and what are the most formative years of a person's life, that really starts to shape who they are. And from between the ages of 3 and 8 are vital, right? Because that's where that Judggie, as I like to call my version of it, is Judggie McJudgerson. It's that measurement, that mental measurement of self against the greater whole, and where I fit into that, and how I see those around me, right? Now, I pride myself on being someone who is open-minded, who is loving and accepting of everyone, and yes, because of what I've experienced in my lifetime, I've developed the traumatic response to becoming a people pleaser. And while the trend is, stop people pleasing, blah, 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 and this and that, and, we hear all those terms. And yes, people pleasing can be very detrimental to self, especially when we're doing it for the wrong reasons. But ultimately, the idea of pleasing others, pleasing self, pleasing humanity isn't really a bad practice. It's only a bad practice when it negatively impacts the individual self and others. So rather than saying that people pleasing, that, right, is a bad thing, reshaping it and sort of redefining what that what that looks like and what that means. It's not about, you know, just to, you know, giving just for the sake of being liked or being popular or, you know, or things like that. No, we are pleasing and giving out of kindness, out of compassion, respect. That's the idea, the idea of the version of people pleasing that is healthy. But anyway, so the other thing that I noticed is that that came up for me this week is that, you know, while we were doing this introspection, and I was triggered because we were to now sketch this so-called Judggie, if you were to visualize it, right? You know, the activity was to draw it out. What does that internal judge look like for you? Because for everyone it could be it differs. And the part that set me off is because I couldn't, well, besides the fact that I'm not really great at drawing, that wasn't the issue. The issue was that my judge did not have a face. When I picture what my judge looks like, sounds like, in my head, to me, it's just this dark cloud void. There's no face. It's just this dark cloud, this dark, heavy energy that is filled with all of the negative things that I've thought about myself, because of what other people have said to me, how other people have treated me. You know, this idea that, you know, there was always something that I needed to improve on because I wasn't good enough or smart enough or, dare I say it, white enough to be accepted. So, yeah, and you know, so that there's a lot of healing work in regards to that, right? You know, they say love is blind, but so is hatred, right? Racism is still, discrimination is still running rampant in society, and you know, and it's part of what perpetuates the negative cycle of trauma, and also that keeps us disconnected from each other and for seeing each other for exactly who we are in our truth and authentic form, which I identify and will always say is love. And so, you know, so that idea that judge and you know can be very hindering, because it's all the voices from, you know, and messages that I've either received from people who I thought were my friends, people who I, you know, thought I had things in common with, Co-workers, members of my family, all of that. So they've all impacted me in that regard, and added to this buildup of this Judgie McJudgerson that plagues me mentally speaking. And then I'm constantly having to work through and battle with in order to be my best authentic self. And how that can be hard to navigate, right? The other thing is that, seeing the lack of compassion, the lack of empathy that is severely lacking in society today. And, online, being a part of some of these forums, like on Instagram, there was, I think there was a post that came up, and someone was basically posting a short about the fact that they suffer from OCD. Now, I am someone who is OCD. And yes, I have been medically diagnosed. So it's not like a self-diagnosis, which I would not recommend ever. And it's one thing to be someone who could diagnose, right? Because you have that professional experience. But even still, it's never recommended. That's a reason, right? There's a reason why doctors don't operate on themselves. Or are to be operating on family or friends, right? It's anyway. So, but what I know about, not only from my personal experience living with that disorder, but also from, when I've interacted in groups for therapy, also what I've, bared witness to, in speaking with, other potential, whether it be clients or peers or, that suffer as well. And that also that I've seen and learned about is that OCD for everyone is different. For those who suffer from OCD, it can present itself in various ways, and there are a variety of degrees, just very much like the idea of trauma, right? And the impact that it has on the individual. And it can be to varying degrees. But anyways, so with this post, there are people who were commenting and insisting that, well, that's not OCD, and I hate it when people say that that's OCD because it's not OCD. Are you a doctor? These are people who I know, when I say I know, because I'm not a mind reader, but you can tell that the majority of the people who are responding to these posts and commenting are not doctors themselves. There are people who may have had an experience of OCD. Maybe they know someone with OCD, but they've only been exposed to one aspect of OCD. And so, therefore, because they've only had that one exposure, they feel they know and are now an expert on OCD. So they feel that it's okay to pass judgment on other people who may claim to be OCD. and to hear and to read the ignorance that fly through these comments. It's to say it's triggering is not even it's way beyond that. And it's not to say that these people's thoughts and opinions about OCD aren't valid. They're very much valid, but they're only one perspective, right? So knowing that, and we're living in a sea, well, so to speak, of millions of people, nothing is ever that black and white and cut and dry. It's not this or that. It's the idea that it can be this, but it can also be that. And being mindful and respectful of the thoughts, views, and perspectives of everyone. But all that I see is that everyone is too caught up in their own perspective to be able to take that time to open themselves up to the possibility of there being more than one perspective. And that is what bringing the awareness to needs to happen. Why self-reflection is important. Moving away from the idea of just me to know we, and everything that I do has a rippling effect to the greater whole. We want to stop the patterns of negativity. But in order to do that, we have to first be willing to take the time to identify, take accountability and responsibility, and have the willingness to change. And so working with the Grateful Dead, for me, has been wonderful in that respect, as I said. So I'm going to quickly flip through these. So I wouldn't be me if I didn't show you guys these. Of course, along with the Grateful Dead tarot decks, I also have 3 versions of the Grateful Dead playing cards. This one is by Flans and looks like this. Here's the backs. And of course, there are images of all the, well, there are images of the group in here as well as what looks like posters and other varying forms of art with regards to the Grateful Dead. That's what I was trying to say. Sorry. I would also say that these sets of playing cards would actually go well with the Todd Alcott's collection of tarot decks, the pulp tarot, I think his horror deck, and more recently his sci-fi deck. So this is playing card set number 1. And then we have number 2, which is, this one is by Theory 11. And I love Theory 11's playing cards. They have all of the big name fan base decks, if you will, among other things. So of course they have Marvel, Star Wars, Batman, Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, all the superheroes. I think they have even, I think they recently released Ninja Turtles. They did Beetlejuice playing cards as well, which of course I kind of want the Beetlejuice one because I also want the Beetlejuice tarot deck. Yes, I am a nerd. I've already established that, and I embrace it. So these are the backs, and these ones are like this. These are the playing cards. And they're themed very much with bears, bolts, roses, and I forget what, or skulls. Yes. That's the Theory 11. And then last but not least, we have the this one, which is by Aquarius. That's the publisher or brand of these playing cards is Aquarius. Yes, we're moving into the age of Aquarius. Pluto just entered Aquarius. Yeah, okay, you get it. And these are what these ones look like. Very retro, tie-dye themed. Still within the theme of skulls, bolts, bears, and roses. Yes. So, have I been enjoying working with the Grateful Dead and the playing card set? Yes, among other things. Other decks that I've been working with in adjacent with the Grateful Dead around this time. Still with the Practical Magic, Inner Witch, Oracle and Tarot by Joseph from Grounded by the Moon. Unfortunately, his latest Kickstarter campaign made it to 91%, but did not successfully meet its funding goal on this time around. But I know that Joseph has plans on relaunching the campaign probably in the new year, and sort of revamping it. And I'm still very much looking forward to that. I will be doing a separate video dedicated to his work, and how I've been enjoying working with his set of decks, and pairing them all together with all the decks that I'm still currently working with. So like I said, it includes Joseph's, it includes the Between the Worlds deck by Monica Jezorski, Serafina from and Rune Vervaine's Earth, Moon, and Shadow Oracle has still been, and as well as the Earth, Moon, and Spirits Oracle by Terry Foss. So those are the decks, and I really wanted to talk about the Grateful Dead and how much I really enjoyed that, and like I said, how very much in alignment it is with my practice, and combining that with therapy and what that's been like, and working through societal issues and introspection and all of that. So I hope that you enjoyed this video, and will consider, if you haven't already, to with liking, sharing, and subscribing, and making sure to hit that notification bell so that you're always up to date when I post my next video. And as always, I'm Alana. I am love, and so are you. As I see myself as human, I know you are too. And so, as I leave you today, until next time, please take care of yourself and each other. Don't forget about me. I love you. And until next time, always live, listen, and learn. Bye. Gotta love, gotta love, gotta love one another. Gotta love, gotta love, gotta love one another. Gotta love, gotta love, gotta love one another. No matter what